Good morning, Hamilton County Elementary School 4th graders. Good morning, good morning. It is Thursday. Yesterday we did 300 through 301 in the instructional. We did our practice and we did day 9 of our countdown. Hopefully you had a chance to watch the introduction video to this lesson. If not, I highly recommend that you go back and you watch day 3, week 4 intro, because that's all the information we're going to use throughout these pages that we're going to be covering. Today, we are going right into the instructional book with some guided practice, page 302 through 303 in the instructional. We're going to go through 305 through 306 in the practice book, and then we're going to complete day 10 of our countdown. So let's get started. I know some of you, we all have some big storms coming tonight, and I want to make sure that all my videos get uploaded before I lose power. For some reason, I thought that the storms were going to hit in the morning and I wasn't going to get a chance to do this morning, but as it is, the storms are not supposed to be coming in until later tonight. So we're going to get this done. Alright, so we're on page 302 in the instructional book. It says, let's explore the idea. The measure of any angle is equal to the number of 1 degree angles one side has turned through. So what that's saying is if we have a circle, and our circle, we started with an angle of 1 degree. Imagine that to be 1 degree angle. This would be a 2 degree, 3 degree, whoop, that's a little big, 3, 4, 5, so I could say that that angle was 5 degrees. That is how the angles turn in a circle. As they move through the circle, they move by 1 degree. Alright, so there are how many 1 degree angles in this full circle? Who remembers from the introduction video? How many of these little notches are in an actual circle? Mine's not going to be completely right because I can't draw exactly exact angles apparently. But a circle has 360 degrees, is 360 degrees. So it turns at 360 1 degree angles in order to make a full circle. An angle showing a full turn through a circle measures, if I had an angle that started here and it turned all the way around and made it back to its origin, well, how many degrees is a full circle? 360. They show you a much better model of this down here. It says the drawing below shows an angle that turns through several 1 degree angles. So each of these is 1 degrees. That's what mine should have looked like, but it didn't turn out that way. It says use the drawing to answer problems 4 and 5. Problem 4 says the angle shows a turn through 7 blank degree angles. So we have to count the angles here. So if this was 1, this would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 angles here. Each of these angles is worth how many degrees? 1 degree. Remember what I said at the beginning. An angle turns through a circle at 1 degree. And if we have an angle, say we had an angle like this going through our circle, it would have a 7 degree turn. So we have 7 1 degree angles. We counted our angles. We know each angle is worth 1 degree. So 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, 4 degree, 5 degree, 6 degree, 7 degree. Number 6, an angle shows a turn through 19 1 degree angles. What is the measure of the angle? Well, let's look back up here. If we said that instead of 7 angles here, we had 19 angles, 19 1 degree angles, our degree would be what? If we had 7 angles here that were 1 degree each and we added those together, it was 7 degrees. So if we have 19 of these, we would simply count the 19. It would be 19 degrees. And we can put a little bubble up above our number. That is the degree sign. Or you could write degree next to it. Either one works. Number 7, an angle measures 275 degrees. How many 1-degree angles does the angle show a turn through? So this is kind of flip-flop. We know that it's going to be 275 degrees. How many 1-degree angles does it make to get to 275? 275. .303 in the instructional book still. Why is it reasonable to use the same unit to describe circles and measures of an angle? So we measure circles using degrees, and we measure angles using degrees as well. Why is that? Think back to that introduction video. We measure an angle in reference to the turns it makes inside a circle. Okay? So we're going to use the same unit of measurement, because if you start an angle at 0 degrees and turn one of the rays all the way around, until it reaches the other ray again. Other ray. It will turn a full circle. Remember back to our pencil exercise that we did yesterday. If we had 2 pencils laying flat against each other, imagine these are our 2 rays that are going to form our angle. Alright, we already know that an angle moves 1 degree. 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. And as that ray right here that I'm moving moves around, I'm ending up in a full circle. That's all that's saying. That's why we measure angles in degrees, because angles, if turned all the way, are the same degree as a circle. So this would be probably about 7 degrees out of 360 degrees of the circle. Now if we took our pencils and we kept going, and we overlapped that ray, now we're more than 360 degrees. We've gone over. It's almost like when our fractions went over the whole number and we made an improper fraction. It's kind of like this. So even though I started here and I said that this was probably about a 7-degree angle, as I moved and I made it back to here, well, that's a 360-degree angle or circle, but I'm overlapping. So now if I go right back to if I come back to where I had originally started, that's 360 degrees plus whatever degrees my angle moved past its point. Okay? Mary lays a notebook flat on a table and opens it as shown at the right. So here's her notebook. She laid it open completely flat. How many 1-degree angles did Mary turn the front cover through? So imagine if you're opening a book, okay, just like she did. This is your angle right here. Now if you remember back into that introduction video, this is a 360-degree circle. If I have an angle that comes just like this, that is half of my 360-degree angle, and half of 360 is what? 180. 180. Think about the angle formed at by the bottom edges of the front and back covers of the notebook. What does the angle look like? What does this look like right here? It looks like a straight path or a straight line. I am in the middle of a video and we do not use those markers on that board. Ever. I'm in the middle of a video. Go watch your show. We'll be done in a second. Number 10. A second hand takes 60 equal turns to make a full circle around a clock. So if we're looking at a clock, the second hand, we'll just call this the second hand, makes 60 equal turns to make a full circle because there's 60 minutes in an hour or 60 seconds in a minute. How could you find the number of degrees the second hand turns through in one turn? So in one turn, we know that it's going to be, in order to get all the way to the middle of our circle again, we have to make 60 equal turns. We know that our circle is how many degrees? Oh, I didn't write it on this one. Our circle is going to be 360 degrees. And what we're going to do is we need to divide. We need to split these groups up to find out how much, or how, I can't think of the word now. We need to know the degree of the angle it turns each single time trying to make it to that 360 degrees. So we're going to divide it up. 360 goes into 60 how many times? Well, 6 times 6 is 36. If I add a 0 to that over here, it'd be 60. So 360 divided by 60 is 6, because 6 times 6 is 36 with 1 0. So it would be 6 degrees. You can use your little, the degree symbol, or you can just write degrees. Number 11. The angle shows a turn through what fraction of the circle? Well, here's our part of the circle that it turned. So it turned 1/3, 1 out of 3 parts of the circle. The angle shows a turn through 1 what of the 360 degrees? If this whole thing is worth 360 degrees, this is 1/3 of the 360 degrees. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find out a way to take this fraction and make it into a degree. Find out how many degrees this angle is using fraction multiplication. So the angle shows a turn through 1/3 of the 360 degrees. And if we multiply that out, remember when we were working with whole numbers and when you're working with fractions at the same time, you can always put a 1 over the whole number to turn it into a fraction. 360 times 1 is 360, and then 3 times 1 is 3, and then we can just divide that out. 3 divided by 360, 3 goes into 36 12 times, I want to say. 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 1 is 3, yep. That zeroes out, bring the 0, goes in 0 times, everything cancels out. So it's going to be 120 degrees. Now, if this angle is worth 120 degrees, Katie, stop moving stuff. What kind of angle is this? Is it an acute angle, a right angle, or an obtuse angle? This would be an obtuse angle because it is more than 90 degrees. It's 120 degrees. Alright. Going into the practice book. Page 305. Put the spray bottle down. Katie Elizabeth, put the spray bottle down. Thank you.
I only have sprayers.
Go watch your show. I'm almost done. If I'm going a little too fast for you guys, I apologize. I do have my daughter with me this morning again, and she is very, very impatient. And so if I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video and catch up later. That's the beauty of these recordings. If you don't need certain parts of it, you can fast forward. If you need some extra help, you can always slow it down and pause it and really look at what I'm doing. Or you could always call me and ask questions. I'm always here for you guys. Katie.
Let's want a chocolate gray.
No. Go on. Alright. So let's look at the example at the top of 305 in the practice book. The drawing below shows an angle that turns through 9 1-degree angles. So we have 9 angles here that each equal 1 degree. How many degrees does the angle measure? Well, when we add up 9 1-degree angles, we end up with 9 degrees. You're going to need to bear that in mind. Katie Elizabeth, stop messing with that door. Go sit down and watch your show.
Okay, I'll just want to color with the top.
Number 1. It says, an angle turns through 60 1-degree angles. What is the measure of the angle? Just how we did it in the instructional book. If I have 60 of these angles, each equaling 1 degree, if I do 60 times 1, that's going to equal 60. So it would be 60 degrees. An angle turns through 160 1-degree angles. What is the measure of the angle? Same thing. 160 times 1 degree angles is 160. So it's going to be 160 degrees. Alright. Number 3. The circle at the right has 4 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. The angle shows the circle in a right angle. So these are all right angles. We know this because they make a square, or they make the L. What fraction of the circle does the right angle turn through? Well, we're only looking at this angle right here, so if we have 4 parts, it's going to be 1/4. A circle has 360 degrees. A right angle turns through 1/4 of a circle, or 1/4 of 360 degrees, because 360 degrees is how big the circles are. It says use fraction multiplication to show how you can find the measure of the right angle. Well, for one, we already know that our right angle is going to be what? 90 degrees. But for practice, we can show how we know how to use fraction multiplication. So we put our 1/4, because that's the part that our angle is working within the circle. And we're going to times it by 360, because that is the degree of our angle. Not our angle, of our circle. When we're working with multiplying fractions, we can always put a 1 under that whole number to make it easier to work with. 360 times 1 is 360. 4 times 1 is 4. And then we can just divide that out. 4 divided by 360. 4 goes into 36 9 times. 9 times 4 is 36. We subtract it out, bring down the 0. 4 goes into 0 0 times. And that cancels each other out. And our answer is 90 degrees. But we already knew that the answer was going to be 90 degrees because a right angle will always be 90 degrees. When you're talking about obtuse angles and acute angles, those can vary. An obtuse angle can be anywhere between 91 degrees to 300 and however many degrees, because an obtuse angle is anything bigger than a right angle. An acute angle will be anything from 89 degrees to 0, because an acute angle is smaller than a right angle. Number 4. The circle at the right has 6 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The angle shown in the circle is an acute angle. We know this because it is smaller than a 90-degree angle. It is smaller than a right angle. What fraction of the circle does the acute angle turn through? Well, it's 1 out of how many? 1 out of 6. We're going to complete the sentence just like we did on the page before. A circle has 360 degrees. The acute angle turns through 1/6 of the circle, or we could also say 1/6 of 360 degrees. Then we're just going to use our fraction multiplication to solve for the problem. Now, if it's confusing you to put that 1 under the whole number, you can just do the 360 times 1 is 360 and just carry your denominator down. We know that 6 goes into 36 6 times. And so 360 divided by 6 would be 6, and we have to add that 0 in, so it would be 60 degrees. And I'm going to put my little degree symbol right there, or you can write degrees. Like I said, I'm not being picky about that one. Alright, number 5. The larger part of the circle at the right is twice as big as the smaller part. That was a very weird looking circle. What fraction of the circle is the smaller part? So it's already giving me a denominator of 3. Well, my angle looks like it's only taking up, or the smaller part of my circle is only one part of this. What fraction of the circle is the larger part? So I'm assuming that this is actually 3 parts. This is the smaller part. 2 out of 3 of those parts are in the larger section. What fraction of the circle does the angle shown by the arrow turn through? Well, that covers 2/3 of my circle. And then we're going to keep going and use that same thought process we did for number 4. A circle has 360 degrees. The angle shown by the arrow turns through 2/3 of my circle, or 2/3 of the 360 degrees of the circle. Use fraction multiplication to show how you can find the measure of the angle shown by the arrow. We're going to do the same thing. 2/3 times 360. And we'll use that same method without putting the 1 under there if you're getting confused by that. 360 times 2 would be 2 times 6 is 12. Carry the 1, that's 7. 720. Bring the 0 over, and then our denominator doesn't change. And then we just divide that out. 3 goes into 720. 3 goes into 7 twice. 2 times 3 is 6. We subtract, bring down the 12. 12 goes into 3 4 times. That equals 12. Bring down that 0. 3 goes into 0 0 times. So it's a 240 degree angle, which would be what kind of angle? Would it be acute, obtuse, or right? It would be obtuse, because it is more than the 90 degrees. It's way more than the 90 degrees. What is the measure of an angle that turns through 1/12 of a circle? We don't even need to see this circle. If we have this fraction, we can find out the degree of the angle by using fraction multiplication. 1/12, a circle is 360 degrees, and then we just simply divide it out. 12 goes into 36 4 times, and we have that 0. So it's going to be, would it be 4 times? No, it'd be 3 times. I'm sorry, my mental math failed me just now. 30 degrees. Okay? I can see what they were talking about yesterday with the clocks now. I know I said it I said it yesterday when we were doing the practice. I was like, I don't know why we're working with clocks like this in fractions, but we're just going to work through it. And I'm glad we did, because it led us straight to here. So, do you need a protractor to find the angle of a circle, or, the measure of an angle in a circle? No. All you need to do is maybe find out what fraction of the circle that angle is covering, and then multiply it by the degree of the circle. Alright. Day 10. Countdown. Yay, we're almost done. We are almost done, guys. Number 1, Missy bought 4 umbrellas and 7 hats for $46. Each umbrella cost the same, and each umbrella costs the same amount. Each hat costs the same amount. So each hat has the same cost as well. The price of an umbrella is $8. What is the cost of one hat? So what we're going to do, ma'am,
I can see.
that's because I don't have the camera on, because yesterday you and the cat, like, would not leave me alone. Go on now. 1, 2. Alright. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that 46 that we spent all together, we're going to divide it by $8 and find out what we have left. 8 goes into 4. What is going on? Hang on. There's dinging. Hang on. Sorry about that. Alright, so, okay, we didn't want to do that just yet. We first want to take and find out how much we spent on the umbrellas. So, we bought 4 umbrellas. Each of the umbrellas cost us $8. 4 times 8 is 32. So, we're going to take 46 and we're going to subtract 32 because that's how much we spent on the umbrellas. 6 minus 2 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. So, we have $14 left. Now, we got 7 hats. How much did the hats cost? Well, we're going to take that $14 and we're going to split them up into groups of 7. So we're going to divide. 7 goes into 14. 2 times 7 is 14. That zeroes out. So each hat is going to cost us $2. Stop messing around. Number 2. Anthony wants to buy the same number of hats for 4 of his friends.
Right.
He has $93 and each hat costs $7. What is the largest number of hats that Anthony can buy for each of his friends? So we're going to take, we have, excuse me, we have 4 friends here. He has $93. Each hat's going to cost $7, so we're just going to divide that out. 7 goes into 9 once. 7 times 1 is 7. Subtract that out. That becomes a 2. Bring the 3 down. 7 goes into 23. 3 times. 3 times 7 is 21. We subtract that out. We'll have 2 left over, but it looks like we're only going to be able to get 13 hats. Now, how many could his 4 friends get? Well, they're not each going to get 13 hats, so we're going to take the 4 friends, and we're going to divide our hats up. We have 13 hats. Each friend is going to get 3 hats, and I'll have 1 hat left over.
I miss Daddy. He's not coming back.
He just left for work. Go on, Mommy has 3 problems left. 3. Alright, number 3. Anthony bought 4 umbrellas and 5 hats and spent $80 to $100. Each umbrella costs the same amount. Each hat costs the same amount. The price of the hat is $4. What is the least amount Anthony could have spent on an umbrella? What is the most she could have spent on the umbrella? So, she bought 5 hats. If she bought 5 hats for $4, that'd be $20, right? So we're going to take our smallest amount that we could have spent, and we're going to subtract $20 from it. That would give us $60. Then we're going to divide our umbrellas. 4 divided by the 4 umbrellas divided by the $60 we have left over. We have, or it's not asking us to do that, it's asking us what is the least amount she could have spent. So the least amount she could have spent would be $60. $60 is the least. The most she could have spent is, we're going to take that $100 and we're going to subtract our $20 we spent on the hat. That becomes $80. Would be $80. Super easy. So to find the least amount, I just subtracted from the smallest amount we could have spent, and for the most amount, I took the $20 from the hats and took it from the most we could have spent. Number 4. Which equation is true? Mark all that apply. So, if we have 8 times 7, which is 56, and we have 38 plus 18, 8 plus 8 is 6, carry the 1, 3, 4, 5. That equation is true. 36 divided by 4 is 9. 42 minus 33, we're going to borrow, bring that over here. 3 minus 12 is 9. And then, oh, look, that's true. Then we have 35 plus 24. 5 plus 4 is 9. 3 plus 2 is 5. 94 minus 35, we're going to have to borrow. That becomes an 8. This becomes 14. 14 minus 5 is 9. And then 8 minus 3 is 5. So that one is true as well. And then we have 8 times 6 is 48. And then 83 minus 5, we're going to borrow. Go on with the pom-pom, Katie.
I'll make a wind for you.
You're making wind for me? Alright, we only got 2 more questions. Alright, 13 minus 5 is 8. 7 minus 3 is 4. So all of these equations are true because they all equal. They all balance out. Alright, number 5. Kathy is comparing 2 equations in her math book. She makes 4 statements about the equations. Which statement by Kathy is true? So she's comparing 2 equations, this one and this one. She makes 4 statements. Which statements are true? A says the values of m and n are correct. Well, we can find that out real quick by inputting the number. Alright, 8 plus 4 is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Carry the 1. That'd be 3, 4. 41 plus 3. Oh, that's not going to be it. Because these values don't equal out. I should be able to get 42 by adding 41 plus 3, but I get 44. The values of m and n are incorrect. Well, let's look at n real quick. N says it equals 71. 74 minus 6 is going to be 14 minus 6 would be 8. Oh, and I lost my spot. 8. And then we would have 6. 71 minus 3 is 71, 70, 69, 68. So they're not both incorrect. This one is actually correct. So this isn't going to work. Number C says the value of m is correct, the value of n is incorrect. We already know that's not right because this one was not right. So our answer is going to be D. The value of m is incorrect and the value of n is correct. Alright. That concludes today's video for day 4, week 4, getting into these angles. I will be having, there are additional links in the beginning of this lesson's video, meaning the week 4, day 3 introduction. I do have additional links in that video, or no, it was in part 2, that you can go to that will explain it a little bit more. You can call me, we can talk about it. If you need to see it, I can do another video really breaking it down a little bit further. You guys just let me know. Comment below or send me a message and I will get back to you. So, hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all be safe with these storms coming in tonight. I will not be at my house tonight because I do live in a trailer. We are going to be going further, staying in a hotel room tonight, and so I do not know what time I will be back tomorrow. But as soon as I'm back to the house tomorrow, and as long as I have power and internet, I will be we will be continuing with day 5 of week 4 and closing this up. All right. You guys have a great day. If I don't hear from you tomorrow, I hope you guys have a great weekend and stay safe. Bye, guys.